She thought loyalty would save her relationship. Instead, it became the weapon that destroyed her life. The man she spent years lifting up traded her away like she was nothing. But the cold billionaire she was handed to became the only person who ever looked at her like she mattered. This is not just a story of betrayal. It's the story of how the right person can find you only after the wrong one breaks you. Before we begin, if this story resonates with you, click subscribe and let me know in the comments where you're watching from, because tomorrow I will be giving you another story just as crazy as this one. And you don't want to miss it. This story will change the way you understand love, loyalty, and destiny. Anabella had always believed love was something you built slowly, brick by brick, sacrifice by sacrifice. She grew up watching her mother fight for a love that never fought back. And still, she hoped her story would be different. For years, she poured her heart into Kim, believing every small act of loyalty would add up to a future they could share. She didn't just support him, she carried him. She worked double shifts, paid his late fees, covered his impulsive mistakes, and whenever he spiraled, she reminded him they were a team. Whenever he felt small, she lifted him. Whenever he failed, she clung tighter. Everyone told her she deserved more. But Anabella was stubborn. When she loved, she didn't leave. And that was exactly what destroyed her. Kim had secrets, not the soft, sad ones that come with honest struggle, but the kind that rot everything they touch. Addictions, debts, the thrill of danger. While she was fighting for them, he was sinking deeper into a world that devoured him. He hid the late-night meetings, the threats, the desperation. He barely slept. He barely spoke. But he always let her believe they were just going through a rough patch. One night, he cried into her lap, not out of love, but out of fear. She held him anyway. She didn't know it was the same night he decided to sacrifice her. When the pressure became unbearable, Kim found a solution that was not moral, not forgivable, but convenient. A powerful Korean billionaire named Gon had made an offer. Gon didn't want romance. He didn't want drama. He simply needed a companion for a fixed period, someone elegant enough to stand beside him at certain events. Someone calm, capable, dignified. Someone who would not embarrass him. Kim told himself he had no choice. He lied to himself until the lie felt soft enough to sleep on. He didn't say the word trade. Men like him use gentler words to wrap monstrous decisions. He told himself it was temporary. He told himself she wouldn't be hurt. He told himself she would forgive him eventually. She always did. He ignored the voice inside him screaming that he knew exactly what he was doing. The night he handed her over started like a normal evening. Anabella thought they were going to meet someone who could help him with his business problems. She dressed in a simple navy dress, tied her hair back, and smiled at him in the car, trying to ease the tension that radiated off him like heat. He didn't smile back. When they reached the destination, an immaculate private building with towering tinted glass walls, Anabella's chest tightened. Kim was sweating. His hands shook. He wouldn't meet her eyes. She thought he was afraid of debt collectors. But when the doors opened and two sharply dressed men stepped forward, her entire world froze. The way Kim flinched. The way he stepped back instead of forward. The way he didn't even try to protect her. It all made sense in one horrifying instant. Kim. Her voice cracked as it escaped her throat. He didn't answer. He didn't reach for her. He didn't fight. He just whispered, "I'm sorry. I didn't have a choice." But he did. He always did. Anabella stood frozen as the men took her arm, not hurting her, simply guiding her with the efficiency of people who knew exactly what had been arranged long before she arrived. Her heart didn't break because of the billionaire waiting beyond those doors. It broke because Kim didn't fight for her. Because the man she had loved for years let her go as if she were something he could sign away. Everything felt colder. The luxurious hallway swallowed her as she walked, floors so polished they mirrored the world, artwork worth more than the sum of every paycheck she had ever earned, silent staff moving like shadows. And finally, she saw him. Gon stood beside floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the glittering city, tall and impeccably dressed, his expression unreadable. His posture carried authority without arrogance. His presence was the kind of wealth that didn't need to announce itself. He didn't look at her the way she feared. Not with hunger. Not with cruelty. Just calculation. "You must be Anabella," he said, his voice smooth but distant. She stared at him, unable to speak, her pulse thundering in her ears. "You are not in danger," he continued. "You are here because a temporary arrangement was made. You will be treated with respect." Temporary. She hated the word, not because he used it wrong, but because Kim had reduced her to something that needed those assurances. She stood as straight as she could, holding her dignity like armor. Her hands shook, but her chin did not. And that surprised him. Most people in temporary arrangements were either terrified or eager to please. She was neither. She looked hurt, trembling, but not broken. Gon dismissed the guards quietly and gestured toward the sitting area. She followed because she didn't know what else to do. Her mind numb, her heart heavy. The room was stunning: glass, marble, silence, luxury, but she felt none of it. She sat stiffly on the edge of a cream sofa. "Do you need anything?" Gon asked. She shook her head. "Do you want to call someone?" Who would she call? Kim had done this. Her friends had warned her. Her family lived continents away. She whispered no. Gon stopped speaking, not out of coldness, but out of understanding. He watched her quietly, sensing the storm inside her. He was not a man who comforted people, but he was not cruel. So he did the only thing he could. He gave her space. That night, Anabella did not sleep. She sat by the window, staring at the glittering skyline, wondering how a heart could break so loudly while the world outside remained so calm. She wrapped her arms around herself and breathed through the ache, desperate to feel like a person again, not a transaction. Gon saw her silhouette from the hallway, small but unbroken. Something inside his chest tightened. He didn't want company or softness or anyone near the walls he had spent years building. But as he watched her sitting alone in the moonlight, he realized something he hadn't felt in years. He didn't want her to feel alone. The next morning began quietly, the kind of quiet that felt heavy instead of peaceful. Soft sunlight leaked through the sheer curtains, warming Anabella's skin, but nothing inside her felt warm. She sat up slowly, remembering everything at once: Kim's betrayal, the icy entrance hall, Gon's unreadable eyes. Her chest tightened again. A gentle knock startled her. One of the staff, a kind middle-aged woman, entered with a breakfast tray. "Good morning, Miss Anabella. Mr. Gon asked me to bring you breakfast." Mr. Gon asked. The words felt strange. Kim had never once asked anyone to do anything for her. Anabella thanked the woman, forcing a small smile, and waited until she left before touching the tea. She stared at it for a long time. Kindness felt foreign after everything. Across the mansion, Gon watched the staff return with the tray. "She didn't eat?" he asked. "She tried, sir, but she seems overwhelmed," the woman replied softly. He nodded, trying to ignore the tightness in his chest. He told himself she was simply part of the arrangement, temporary, nothing more. Yet her sadness unsettled him more than he wanted to admit. By afternoon, they crossed paths in the hallway. Anabella walked with her arms wrapped around herself, protecting what little remained of her strength. Gon paused, letting her pass first, but she politely stepped aside. "Anabella," he said quietly. She lifted her eyes, and the impact hit him harder than expected, soft, exhausted, but still holding dignity like a shield. "Yes," she asked. "If you need anything, anything at all, you can tell me." She hesitated. "I don't know what I need." Gon understood that more than she realized. "You are safe here," he said gently. "Whether you believe that yet or not." Her throat tightened, not because she trusted him, but because for the first time since the betrayal, someone spoke to her like she was human. That evening she wandered through the mansion, trying to breathe through the silence pressing against her chest. She found herself in the library, a warm room lined with tall shelves of books. She sank onto the couch, not reading, just existing. Gon found her there. He approached slowly, as if afraid to disturb her. "Do you like to read?" he asked quietly. She nodded faintly. "Sometimes. Not tonight." She shook her head. He sat at the far end of the couch, keeping distance between them. Two strangers, bound by circumstances neither had chosen. "May I ask something?" she murmured. "Of course. Why did you agree to this arrangement? You don't seem like someone who needs people." His eyes flickered. "That's precisely why. I prefer to keep the world at a distance. People are complicated. Temporary arrangements are simpler." Her lips trembled. "Am I temporary too?" Gon looked at her, not with desire, not with ownership, but with something unexpectedly human. "You are here because of someone else's choices, not mine. And I know you had no control over any of this." Something loosened inside her chest. She stared at her hands. "Kim never protected me. Not once. I kept trying to hold us together, and he kept tearing us apart. I don't even know why it still hurts." Gon leaned forward, voice low and steady. "Because betrayal never hurts where we expect. It hurts in the places love used to live." Anabella inhaled sharply, tears burning in her eyes. Nobody had ever put it into words like that. Gon didn't touch her. He didn't move closer. But something shifted in the air, something fragile, something real. For the first time since the night she was taken, she didn't feel entirely alone. Over the next few days, the mansion found a new rhythm, quiet, gentle, unfamiliar. Anabella spent time with the staff, who adored her instantly. She had a way of making people feel seen. Gon noticed from a distance, always pretending he wasn't watching. Sometimes he found reasons to be in the same room. "Do you need help with that?" he would ask while she arranged books. "No, I've got it," she would reply softly. Their conversations grew slowly, small things at first, then deeper truths. She learned he wasn't cold by nature. He had learned to be cold to survive. The world had punished him for being soft once, and he had never made that mistake again. And he learned she wasn't fragile. She was resilient because life demanded it. One evening he found her sitting alone, shoulders tense. "Long day?" he asked. She exhaled shakily. "It's the memories. They come back without warning." "Sit," he said gently. "If you want." She sat beside him, the distance between them smaller this time. "What hurts the most?" he asked quietly. "That I stayed loyal to someone who didn't deserve it. That I kept shrinking myself so he could feel bigger. I gave everything and he still threw me away." Gon's eyes hardened, not at her, but at the world that allowed such pain. "You weren't thrown away, Anabella," he said firmly. "You were returned to yourself." The words shook her. "You speak like someone who's been hurt," she whispered. He hesitated, then nodded. He told her about the woman who left him without warning, how betrayal taught him to bury every emotion, how power became his armor and loneliness his normal. And she listened, not with pity, not with awe, but with understanding. And that terrified him more than betrayal ever had. Something shifted that night. Something neither of them named, but both felt. Healing attracts the past. 2 weeks after she arrived, a storm returned Kim. He came to the mansion gates, shouting her name, desperation cracking his voice. His life had collapsed, debts crushed him, everyone he depended on abandoned him. Now, suddenly, he wanted her back, not because he loved her, but because he needed the version of her who saved him. Security alerted Gon immediately. "Don't let him near her," Gon commanded, voice sharp as steel. But Anabella heard the shouting from the balcony. Kim, angry, pleading, entitled, begging. "You don't have to see him," Gon said softly. "Yes," she whispered. "I do. I need to end this." She walked outside. The look on Kim's face twisted into disbelief. She wasn't the girl he remembered. She wasn't small. She wasn't shaking. She wasn't his. Kim tried everything, tears, apologies, promises he never kept. He said he loved her. "You don't love me," she said softly. "You love the version of me that kept you alive. I'm done being your oxygen." He raised his voice, expecting her to crumble. She didn't flinch. For the first time ever, she stood tall. Gon stepped forward, not touching her, not claiming her, but standing beside her like a wall she could lean on if she needed to. Kim's face fell. He finally saw everything he threw away. Security dragged him back as he screamed her name. She didn't look back. For the first time, her past had no power over her. That night, Anabella walked back into the mansion slowly. The staff watched with quiet respect. They had seen everything. She returned to the library, the room where she had cried, broken, then rebuilt. She sat down and breathed steadily. Gon appeared in the doorway. "May I?" he asked. She nodded. He sat beside her, close enough to feel his warmth, but not touching her. After a long silence, she whispered, "I didn't expect to feel free." "You ended something that was killing you," he said. "Freedom takes time to understand." She looked at him, this man with sharp edges and soft eyes, who built walls not to control others, but to protect himself. A man who never chose her, yet treated her like she mattered. "Thank you," she whispered. "For what?" "For standing beside me. Not in front of me. Not behind me. Just with me." His eyes softened. "That's exactly where I want to be." And for the first time, she let her fingers touch his. He closed his hand around hers gently, not claiming her, just holding space. A choice. A beginning. In the days that followed, peace returned in soft forms. Anabella laughed real laughter with the staff. She cooked sometimes. She slept through the night without waking up to a racing heart. Gon watched, quietly amazed. He wasn't used to watching someone heal or being part of the reason. One evening, she found him on the balcony. "You're always up here," she said gently. "It's quiet," he replied. "Do you like that feeling?" He hesitated. "I used to. Before you." Her breath caught. "What do you mean?" He kept his eyes on the skyline. His voice was softer than she had ever heard it. "I used to think solitude was safety. If no one was close, no one could hurt me. But now the quiet feels different, like something is missing when you're not here." She looked down, overwhelmed. "You don't have to say that," she whispered. "I'm not saying it because I have to," he said. "I'm saying it because it's the only truth I'm certain of. I'm still healing, Gon. I know. And I don't want to move too fast." "I know that too." "Then why are you here?" she whispered. He finally turned to her. "Because healing doesn't scare me. Losing you does." Her heart opened, not in pain, but recognition. This was what love was supposed to feel like. Not pressure. Not fear. Not sacrifice. Choice. "What if I want you to walk with me?" she whispered. "Not behind me. Not ahead of me. Just with me." Gon smiled, slow and quiet and real. "Then that is exactly where I'll be." Their connection didn't explode into fireworks. It grew softly through small gestures, shared meals, quiet balcony nights, understanding, trust, and healing. One evening, Gon placed a folded document on the table, her contract. She stared at it, her heart beat quick. Without hesitation, he tore it in half. Then again. And again. Until nothing remained but fragments drifting like ash. "You're free," he said. She stared at him, trembling. "Then why did you let me stay?" "Because I didn't want your presence," he whispered. "I wanted your choice." "And if I stay now," she said softly, "it's because I choose you." His breath shook, the smallest crack in the armor he had spent years welding shut. "Then stay," he whispered. And she did. Not because she needed shelter. Not because she had nowhere else to go. Not because she needed saving. But because she finally found a love that didn't ask her to break to prove it was real. Late one night, in the soft glow of a lamp, Gon reached for her hand again. "I didn't think I'd ever let someone close again," he said. "And I didn't think I'd ever feel safe again. Yet here we are." She rested her head gently on his shoulder. "Here we are." Their love didn't roar. It didn't demand. It didn't take. It healed. It rebuilt. It grew without fear. And for the first time in their lives, they realized they weren't two broken people holding each other together. They were two whole souls choosing each other freely, every moment, not out of loneliness, but clarity. And that, more than anything, was the love they deserved.